A missile. Let the world overlord calm down in an instant. Silence the war madman. And that's what we've been doing lately. You all know that. September 25th at 8:44 a.m. Our country launched an intercontinental missile. Successfully landed in the high seas of the Pacific Ocean. The global media went viral. The world is focused on this. Many people may not know. What's the point of this today? I will have a good chat about this issue. First, take care of a friend with a complete zero foundation. Explain the significance of intercontinental missiles. Well known. 1945 United States. 2 atomic bombs were detonated in Japan. From then on, humanity has officially entered the era of nuclear deterrence. After the United States, the Soviet Union, France, the United Kingdom, and China have successively completed nuclear tests. The 5 major powers have initially achieved nuclear war capability. But there was one big problem. But in front of the 5 major powers. That is, how can we deliver nuclear weapons to each other's territory at first? The Americans were flying nuclear bombs. Then I found out. This approach is not reliable. Because normal countries have air defense capabilities. You fly directly over there. It may be shot down by the other party before it flies. But here's the thing. Nuclear bombs cannot be deployed at any time. Take a nuclear bomb from the mainland for long-range delivery. Requires extreme battery life. So they came up with 3 ideas. The first is to create a large aircraft with a long range. Let him carry the nuke. Find a hidden location to launch. Second. Let strategic nuclear submarines hide under the sea with nuclear bombs. When necessary, suddenly launch a nuclear bomb to strike. The third is to build a long-range intercontinental missile. Launch directly from the mainland. Strike each other's territory. This is the so-called sea, land, and air trinity nuclear strike capability. Only countries with these 3 capabilities. It has a complete nuclear deterrent capability. To become a qualified sailor. In our country, he has mastered the ability to launch intercontinental missiles. This shows that our country's nuclear weapons, enough to form a strategic balance with the United States, make Americans afraid to act rashly. That's what intercontinental ballistics is for. Explain this common sense. Let's look at the details of this missile launch again. Why launch a missile? It will make the countries of the world respect it. The first is the issue of launch time. The missile was launched at 8:44 a.m. on September 25, 2024. What time is it? It's hard for the uninitiated to see. But veteran military fans. And the military must be clear. Because 44 years ago in 1980, our country launched an intercontinental missile. It was used to deter the Soviet Union, which was under pressure at that time. And it's not as simple as paying tribute to the pioneers as everyone thinks. Because it's very simple, since the People's Liberation Army can achieve 44 points. Launch at this precise time. That means any time of the day. We can all take off anytime. What's even more surprising is that, according to our description, the US military was notified in advance of the launch. Where to launch from? Where will it land? How far is it? All these details all fully notified the US Indo-Pacific Command. Americans don't have to do anything. Honestly, photograph their reconnaissance plane. Just go there and wait for the photo to be taken. What does that mean? It shows that we have full information. For launch success rate. Missile accuracy with absolute confidence. And not afraid of leaks at all. Let you deploy in advance. Lock in advance. Take a look at your state-of-the-art interception system in the United States. Is there any ability to block it? Don't think it's a simple thing. From October last year to the present, all of Wuchang fired ICBMs. 3 failed as a result. 2 successes. The 3 that failed were the United States, Britain, Russia. It is France and us who succeed. The French did not disclose the full process. You have a limited amount of data. Just us from takeoff to landing. Transparency throughout the process. People 8 billion world. Can be clearly seen in the eyes. That's kind of scary. Because it means, at least at this stage, on nuclear strike capability alone, we could be number 1 in the world. After all, both Americans and Russians are prone to failure. Only we can succeed once. And it's even more scary to think about. According to the analysis of photos released by the military itself, there are 2 details that confuse Americans. Sweating. One is the model of the missile. It's not the sword of the Republic that everyone speculates about, Dongfeng 41. But another small artifact, Dongfeng 31AG. That is to say, this time we haven't used the most advanced weapons. Still using the old model. But even so, the strength of Dongfeng 31AG cannot be underestimated. It has a range of 12,000 kilometers. It can carry 6 to 9 nuclear weapons. He's got a terminal velocity of Mach 30. About 10 kilometers per second. That is to say, if the Americans are going to turn against us, then we can do it in 2 hours. Strike anywhere in the United States. Whether it's the White House or Los Angeles. All within range. And the Americans were completely unable to intercept it. Because of the speed. Already equivalent to future technology. Of course, what really makes Americans sleepless? One more important detail. That is, this time we used a cold launch and drag hood. What do you mean? That is to say, this time our launch mission. Not through a fixed silo. To finish. It was fired from a missile launcher. Do you understand the difference between the two? One is a fixed launch position. One is a movable launch position. This means that our country can launch intercontinental missiles anytime, anywhere. Strike anywhere in the world. You Americans want to destroy early. There is no possibility. This has completely upset the global strategic balance of the United States. It is no exaggeration to say. After the successful missile launch, the US military can think seriously. The Pacific Ocean is divided into spheres of influence. Don't think I'm exaggerating. You see, after the fact. How do Americans evaluate this matter? They say China's ICBM test is a good thing. You know what the Americans used to say: as long as we do some military activities. They said it was threatening. District balance. And then what? Bring your little brother to the military exercise to scare us. Result. This time we all hit the missile near his hometown. He actually said it was a good thing. The always arrogant American suddenly has clear eyes. You're being polite. Why do you think this happened? Even more ridiculous are the UK and Japan. After the successful launch of our country's missiles, Mandelson, a confidential advisor to British Prime Minister Stomo, expressed a sharp change in attitude towards China. The biggest mistake we've made in the past 10 years. How about the Japanese, like a little girl, complaining about how to shoot missiles from them, without notifying them? It is understandable that the Japanese have grievances. After all, 918 we go cruising around them. 925 we swiped another rocket. Make them nervous. Eating doesn't smell good. But I think they should learn to adapt. From now on, 055 will visit Osaka. Replenishment to Tokyo is expected to be a regular event. They have to anticipate it. Of course, far-fetched. But now I'm going to move on. I know there's another issue at the forefront. That's why we are at this point in time. Launch a missile. Well, I think there are two main reasons. First of all, the situation is very messy. Russia is at war. The conflict is not over. African Sudan in civil war. There are riots in Venezuela in South America. Even are surrounding Japan and the Philippines. Vietnam is also just around the corner. The current situation is not peaceful. It's clear if you've seen history. Before the outbreak of World War II. That's basically it. At this critical moment, Russia's intercontinental missile launch failed. Directly exploded in the well. This is a very dangerous signal. Because it makes people suspicious. Does Russia still have a nuclear strike capability under such circumstances? We need to stand up and shake people up. Calm down. Of course, yeah. I'm not saying we launched a missile for Russia. In fact, our Soyuz ship has already left. Long before the Russian launch. There is no absolute causal link between the two. But after seeing the failed Russian launch, we're going to accelerate progress. Take a missile and hold the field. It's very reasonable. Secondly, the current situation is very sensitive. One is that we are about to celebrate the 75th National Day. We need to maintain a positive atmosphere. There can be no mistakes. Another is, the US election and the Federal Reserve's interest rate cut are superimposed. The potential risks of the US election. I am worried that there will be American politicians for political gain. Unscrupulous. The undercurrent of the Federal Reserve's interest rate cut. Americans are not reconciled. Watching global capital flow back to China. They're going to do whatever it takes to stop it. Of course, in direct conflict with us. They don't have the guts yet. But agitating the younger brother to launch a proxy war. It's an entirely possible thing. So at this point in time, we launched a missile into the Pacific Ocean. It's actually for global capital. We're telling everyone. If there is a war in East or Southeast Asia, then America will certainly not be at peace. When news like this gets out, Americans suddenly become clear-eyed. Clear-sighted. In 2 days. Maybe. You will also be polite to wish us a happy birthday. It's a very possible thing. Let's see. Through this matter, I deeply understand what Professor Aiyu Ejin said. Dignity is only above the edge of the sword. The truth is only within the range of the cannon. And that's really a wise saying.